here in India had raised the issue. He had said that we condemn any such acts. This is not free speech and this is not going to be acceptable. But in terms of action, we've seen very little. Has the MEA asked the Australian counterparts to expedite any sort of action? What has been the reaction so far?
So, Griha, we know that last week during its official weekly presser, MEA spokesperson Narendra Modi has said that they have raised this issue both at Canberra and Delhi. Last week, we have seen comments from Barry O'Farrell, Australian High Commissioner in Delhi, who has said that hate crimes and violence cannot be part of freedom of speech. But now what is the latest on this is Australian High Commission has reacted to the latest incidents of vandalism on Hindu temples in Australia. He has said that I'm gravely concerned by the mindless vandalism of Hindu temples in Victoria. Australia does not tolerate hate speech or violence, and Australian authorities are investigating the matter. And he has also said that Australia values diversity and inclusion, respects the right of individuals to engage in peaceful protest, and support the non-violent expression of views. So this is while Australian government has time and again in the past, they have reacted in the same manner, but always they have reacted with this caveat where they have always said that they respect the freedom of expression and protest, a peaceful protest. But having said that, does it look like that these vandalism that is happening on Indian temples are in any way or any manner peaceful protest? They are defacing temples. They are portraying anti-India slogans on these temples. They're hurting the sentiments of religious community or minority communities in Australia. But still, we are not seeing a very action-oriented approach from the local authorities, despite the fact that Indian government and Indian local missions, they have raised the issue with local police authorities, but there has not been any single arrest in the last 3 cases. And if it continues to be like that, like one can only assume that the emboldened spirit of these mindless, violent extremist groups will continue to do such acts of violence in future also.
And which is why the authorities there need to act in time to ensure that there is no repeat of such instances. Abhishek, thank you so much for getting us the latest on that. That's the latest statement that's come to the fore from the High Commissioner of Australia here in India. But what exactly has been the reaction in Australia? Unfortunately, not much. And Dr. Sarwal, you would have spoken to, or your colleagues at Australia Today would have spoken to the people on ground there, the community, the management of all of these temples. What really is the sense there? Have the authorities reached out to them, at least on a personal level, perhaps, tried to mitigate the issue or build some sort of confidence? At least has that happened?
Not at this stage. You'll be surprised to know that the Premier of Victoria is on leave, and so is the Multicultural Minister. So to answer you first, we reached out to ISKCON Temple. We had a live from there, and one of the priests, Arjun, told the Australia Today that the community obviously is pretty scared because this has been happening. And, if the police had been active and they had stopped, or they've got some culprits in the first case, the other 2 incidents wouldn't have taken place. But as you can see in your video as well, they have installed a new CCTV on top, just below the ISKCON. So they are hopeful that this time, and this is a very posh suburb of Albert Park in Melbourne. So all the houses have outside CCTV. So it's very easy to catch these culprits this time. But in terms of authorities, especially the police, move slow. I think the incident took place somewhere, before 5 a.m. We had a chat with Arjun, the priest at ISKCON, around 3 p.m. And till then, he said that none of the police officers had actually come to the premises of ISKCON Temple to take the footage. It was only the footage that ISKCON Temple has provided, along with there. So the police is moving slow. They are asking locals to provide any CCTV dash cam footage that they have got of suspicious activities around the temple, any of the temples. So they are moving. Maybe they are doing their work. Unlike India, they don't make a show of it, but they are doing. But what is surprising, particularly the people we have talked, is that the Premier didn't say anything. He's on leave. The Multicultural Minister didn't say anything. And what we got from the acting Premier of Victoria, Jacinta Allen, is a template kind of statement, and she says, I quote, "All Victorians deserve to practice their faith free from racism, vilification, and hatred. It is disgraceful to desecrate religious temples in this way." So you will see that this is kind of a statement that you will obviously expect the authorities to make. There is nothing on when will they get to catch anyone.
Sure, and that's really what the response of the High Commissioner here in India also seems like. Like you said, perhaps a templated response that they feel like they should respond with in such situations. But really, what does it lead to? Is it just mere lip service, and is that all it is what many are wondering, Mahadev and Shankar. And it's not just about the community there. It's also about people here. Now, a few years ago, perhaps a decade or so ago, I remember there were instances where there were these racist attacks on Indians, especially Indian students. That went on for a little while as well. Whether there was action taken or not, or it was just within the course of time that it ended, is that the kind of approach that Australian authorities seem to be having now? That yes, we are seeing these attacks, but in the course of time, they eventually will go away?
I believe the Australian government has been taking their own actions from what I've been seeing. But one of the points, if I can add on what Amit said, the fact that the Indian government has proscribed an individual and an organization as a terrorist organization, and that individual, if he has been proscribed by the Indian government as a terrorist, how did he get entry into Australia, even if he's an American citizen? If he came into Australia, why was he not arrested? What are the deportation procedures? What's the extradition treaty in place? All these larger issues need to be coming to the fore now, and maybe both the